Nothing like a little morning rush. The sound of a screaming reel is like Beethoven to a concert pianist. Except this concert is played out on the high seas, where whales and dolphin are the impresarios, and a wealth of other marine life the supporting cast. The fishermen, we're just the audience, lucky enough to participate in a show that could blow the mind of the uninitiated.
They're bluefin.
Like 59-degree water to 66-degree water, like in a New York minute. I just put the first one in the box.
As we near the grounds, there is no better way to find fish than with your own two eyes. Keep a lookout for surface signs, birds, rips, debris in the water, and of course, jumpers. From this point on, nothing is left to chance. The meat lines go out, followed by specific rods at each location, each pre-marked to ensure everything runs as planned.
On my short lines, I think this is important. I run 2 meat lines. They're my shortest out, they're 60 feet. Then I have a middle position between the 2 meat lines and 2 side positions, one on either side that I run 80 feet. And then my outriggers are out 100 feet. So they're 20-foot intervals there. My meat lines, you want to use a very big lure there. Now, I don't care if you use a chugger, a jet head, but you want a big lure there. The reason is when those fish are down there and say they're holding at 75 feet under the boat and they look up and they're attracted to this boat, they're attracted to the prop. But I want them to get to those lures first. If I can encourage them to come there first because they see them first, they're moving more water, then virtually everything else will come through, which I try to encourage, multiple hookups. That's obviously how you put a big score up. Every pole has its own position. Every pole is marked with a rubber band and tied to the line, so everybody can go to a position and just free spool. Boom, they're gone, they're out. The meat lines is just a matter of throwing them out of the buckets, out. So when we're getting doubles, triples, quadruples, lots of people are getting 1. When the smoke clears 2 hours later, there's boats with 5 fish and then there's boats with 20 fish, and the technique there is the difference.
Trolling speed is always an issue.
The book will tell you 6 to 8 knots. I'm religious about 7. Now, it's hard to hold 7 knots. If you're bumping into the swell, it's going to slow you down. If you're going down here, you're going to speed up. So you may have to fluctuate a little bit on the throttle, but, I try to hold 7 knots.
With multiple lines in the water and fish hanging, the last thing you want are crocheted lines.
I've got 7 positions out, counting the 2 meat lines. And what I don't need is some guy running over there, grabbing the poles and run to the back of the boat. He just crossed over 3 lines. We don't have any lines cleared. So what this boat does is, obviously with that initial hookup, I'm trying to encourage more hookups so I don't come off RPM right away. I probably give it a 5, 6, 7 second count before I start coming down off the RPM. Nobody touches a thing. They leave those fish hanging. And what I'll do is I'll throttle down to the bottom end range of the throttle and leave it on autopilot, keep my momentum going, and then we start clearing lines. First thing we get up is the meat lines. Any pole that doesn't have a fish on, the guys go. Now, you're getting bit throughout this whole process. I mean, just because you throttle down, don't think that tune is not going to jump on anyway. I mean, you're going to be cranking in, all of a sudden there'll be a big boil behind the boat, and you scream, you're hooked up. Well, there's not much you can do about that. And then I go to neutral and we fight our fish.
Bob runs